Hey everyone!
Why'd you shout? Jesus, I knew you were doing it then.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Um, so, continuing on with my series of going through each year of the 80s and doing my top 10 albums from each year. This is 1987 this time. This one was not easy to put together. I mean, I knew what albums I wanted to include, it was just picking the order, because I love all of these albums. 1986 was definitely the hardest for me because there were loads of albums I wanted to talk about but couldn't. If this is the first time you're checking out these videos, however, basically, long story short, I started these videos about three and a half years ago after watching Andy Borders from Andy's Vinyl Den do these videos, and he went through each year of the 80s and I jumped on the trend. Never finished the series of videos, and I thought instead of just going back and redoing the videos, or instead of just going back and finishing the videos that I never did, I'm just going to start the whole thread again, because as you can imagine, in 3.5 years my taste in music would have changed so much. So of course I'm just going to go through each year again. I've already done from 1980 to 1986 in order, so now I'm doing 87. We are nearly finished with these videos. I know, it's so sad, I can't believe it, but we're getting there. And yeah, like I said, it was really hard to put these albums in order of my top 10, but I think I've managed to do it in an order where I'm happy. So let's get straight into this. Let's not waste any more time. And we're kicking off my top 10 actually with an R&B album as it goes. Funny enough, this is John White, Night People. If you like George Benson, sort of 80s sound, R&B, pop kind of music, you'll probably like this. My favourite track on here is the song Victim, which is really good. You also got the title track, Night People. You've got a song called Can't Get You Out of My System, I Need Your Love, Made for Love, Don't Let It Be Too Late. Yeah, just a really, really solid album. One I discovered, actually my old boss, when I worked at the records shop, he actually introduced me to this. Because I had no idea what it was. I'd never heard of John White before. But he said, have you heard this? I was like, no. He was like, you should probably check that album out. And I'm glad I did, because this album's incredible. Yeah, really, really good stuff from John White. Night People, really, really awesome. So, of course, I had to mention it in my top 10. That's probably one of the best things, in my opinion, that was ever recommended to me when I worked at the record shop. Really cool stuff there. And then in number 9, we're doing Men at Work, Business as Usual. This is my Hong Kong pressing. I'm sure I talked about it when I found it, but that was a while ago now. But yeah, really awesome. Of course, Down Under is the big song of this album, which everyone knows. It's now got a drum and bass remix of it as well that's in the charts at the moment, which I also really like that version as well, I've got to be honest. But a really, really good album. Who can it be now? I Can See It in Your Eyes, Underground, Helpless Automation, Be Good Johnny, Catch a Star, Down by the Sea. Really good album. I think Men at Work are one of the best bands to come out of Australia, because obviously you've got AC/DC, who are probably the most famous band out of Australia, and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, I believe, are also Australian. But these guys, of course, everyone knows the song Down Under. But what do you know outside of outside of that song? Give this album a listen to. I can guarantee you won't be disappointed. That's why it comes in for me at number 9, because it's just that good. Number 8, surprise, a hip hop album, Public Enemy, Yo Bum Rush the Show. I know what you're thinking. Why is that album so low on your list? Honestly, it's because for me it hasn't got that Public Enemy sound that we're used to. It's got more of an 80s R&B kind of feel, more of a Schoolie D or Boogie Down Productions kind of sound to it, which I love Boogie Down Productions, don't get me wrong. But this does not feel like a Public Enemy album to me. Because if obviously when you think Public Enemy, you think Fear of a Black Planet, or you think of It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. You don't think of their debut, Yo Bum Rush the Show. And even though it is a good album, it does not feel like a Public Enemy album, which is why I've placed it so low on my list. But yeah, just had to give this one a mention.
You're really putting me off.
Sorry. But it's a good album. It's just not their best. But I thought it was good enough to still give it a mention at least. So there we have it. Public Enemy. At 7. Yep, 7. Another album that pains me to put it this low because of how much I love this band, but I had to put it somewhere on the list, and this seemed to be the best logical place to fit this album. That's Bee Gees with ESP. Yeah, I know. A Bee Gees album. An 80s Bee Gees album. The first time I think I'm talking about them in these videos, because I definitely prefer their earlier work from the 60s and 70s. But this is, in my opinion, their best 80s album. The hit single You Win Again is on this album. That may be the best song on here for me personally, but you do have the title track, ESP, Giving Up the Ghost, The Longest Night, Angela, Overnight, Crazy for Your Love. It's just a really, really good album from the Bee Gees and from 1987, so that is why I thought I'd give it a mention, because it really is that good, and easily my favourite 80s Bee Gees album. One worth checking out if you don't know. So yeah, there's that. Another R&B album, and then I think we're done with R&B albums possibly, but this is Lilo by Lilo Thomas. Really, really solid album from him, honestly. The opening track, I'm in Love, is my favourite track on here. It's got Sweet Surrender. It's got another really good song on here, another favourite of mine, Sexy Girl. Wanna Make Love is another really good track on this album. Again, if you like George Benson's 80s stuff, check out Lilo Thomas. I've talked about him before. He used to be a runner on Olympic level, and then was in a really nasty car accident and couldn't run as well. So I went down to singing, but yeah, absolutely really, really good album, worth checking out. He has 3 albums from the 80s. I think I've talked about another one of them in these videos. I can't really remember now I'm thinking about it, but I'm sure I did. But anyway, Lilo by Lilo Thomas, my favourite album from Lilo Thomas. No, I take that back. My second favourite album from Lilo Thomas. Or maybe. I'd probably say it's my favourite Lilo Thomas album, but it hasn't got my favourite Lilo Thomas track on it. So there's that. But yeah, anyway, Lilo by Lilo Thomas comes in at number, was that 6? Yeah, number 6. At number 5, and this one was really difficult to place because I love this album loads, but I couldn't put it any lower, and I could not put it any higher, even though it pains me to do that, because of how much I do love this album. I really do. But it's just the other 4 albums I love just a little bit more. So number 5 is Kick by INXS, another good Australian band. We all know the song Need You Tonight, which is on this album. Also has New Sensation, which is really good. Never Tear Us Apart. The title track Kick, Tiny Daggers is good. The Loved Ones, Wildlife. Actually, every song on here. Really, really nice, good, really solid album from Kick, from INXS. My favourite from them. Yeah, just a really, really solid album, I guess. Yeah, can't rave about this album enough. So there it is. Kick by INXS comes in at number 5. Number 4, Level 42, Running in the Family.
I have to put the right one.
That's fine. But yeah.
I wasn't asking permission, I was just saying.
I know.
She's still awake.
Oh.
And her foot's stuck. Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah, Level 40. This album's co-produced by Level 42 and then Wally Badaro as well. Bardo. Never know how to pronounce his name. But yeah, the title track is my favourite. One of my favourite, probably my second favourite Level 42 song. Lessons in Love is a good song as well. To Be With You Again is another great song. In fact, all of my top 5, I would say, out of this have like really all really solid albums. In fact, in saying that, I think all of my top 10 are really solid albums. Just what it came down to is what I have better memories with, which albums do I have more memories with, and which ones do I spin the most. And yeah, Level 42, Running in the Family is definitely an album I love loads. So it comes in at number 4. At 3, we have Eric B and Rakim, Paid in Full. You guys, if you're a hip hop fan, you guys know this album. It's got Ain't No Joke. I Know You Got Soul, which is my favourite Eric B. Rakim song. Eric B is President. The title track Paid in Full, Move the Crowd. Eric B is on the cut. Just a really good album from them. Maybe their best album, although being their debut, still just a really, really good album. And yeah, I can't express this enough. Really, really solid album from Eric B and Rakim. I'd say one of the best hip hop albums ever made. So yeah, there's that. At number 2. Number 1 and number 2 was a really difficult decision to make. Especially because of how much I love both of these albums. But what it came down to was my number 1. I probably listened to a lot more than the album I have at number 2. Although I love the album I have at number 2, which I'll show you guys in just a second. I don't listen to this album as much as I listen to the album I have at number 1. Michael Jackson Bad is coming in at number 2. I love this album. I love this and Thriller and Off the Wall are 3 of my favourite albums of all time. It's just which one I prefer. I definitely think Thriller is in my top 10 favourite albums of all time. There's no denying that. And of course, Michael Jackson had so many hit singles off of this album. I think nearly every song was a single. Obviously, you've got the title track Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Liberian Girl, Man in the Mirror, one of my favourite Michael Jackson songs, Dirty Diana, and Smooth Criminal is also on this. It's a solid album, and it really was painful to not put this album at number 1. But literally what it comes down to is, as a full album from front to back, I probably prefer the album I put at number 1. Also with the memories I have behind it as well, because number 1 is Fleetwood Mac, Tango in the Night. And although some of you may have your opinion on out of Bad or Tango in the Night, which one you prefer as an album, for me, I not only think this album is better, but I've got more memories attached to this album. Mainly road trips with my dad's. The song Little Lies was played a lot on the radio. I specifically remember that one. Everywhere, which is on this album as well, is also my favourite Fleetwood Mac song, which I love. And I don't know why it's my favourite. I think I've just got attached to that song over time. But Seven Wonders, Big Love, Isn't It Midnight, When I See You Again, Mystified, every single song on here is just killer. And of course the album was produced by Lindsey Buckingham and Richard Dashut. I'm probably butchering that name, but never mind, eh? But yeah, Fleetwood Mac, Tango in the Night, without question my favourite album from 1987. Actually, I'd say with question, because it was a toss-up between this and Bad, but I ended up going with this just because I do think it's track for track from start to finish. I do think it is the better album of the two, and definitely my favourite album from Fleetwood Mac. And I'm not a massive Fleetwood Mac fan, like I'm sort of a casual fan. There's a couple of albums I love, and then a few songs I like in the middle. But this is definitely one album that I love and always have and probably always will. So yeah, with that, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks again so much for tuning in. If you liked this video, and please give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not already. That bell as well as next to the subscribe button, make sure that's switched on, because then you never miss an upload. So yeah, once again, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you all again very soon. And we'll probably have more voice cracks as well, because that's just how we roll. Anyway, see you all again very soon. Bye.
You need a